my scanner anomaly. Moving on to the scanner anomalies, are the
We need
regular
to get
segment.
we need to get like a note sound
Hmm.
transitions for all these. So yeah, we'll work on quality later. We'll quality as we're going.
Yeah,
Oh, we just straight posted it over to Ask a Dev. Okay. So for everyone in the Twitch chat can go over there and go upvote that as well.
we would appreciate it.
All right.
Uh,
What
but so
is
this
your scanner anomalies?
So for our first-time listeners, first-time callers, scanner anomalies are like a spectrum pulse, but these are things that we personally, Nazaris and I, were curious about. Not something that we found, something that we wanted to know about, and we dug into of our own volition. We were flying around and on our own time, not when we were in our the Pathfinders carrack or whatever pathfinding ship we're supposedly in, and something came up on scans, and we're like, you know what, I'm gonna go check that out. I've got nothing better to do. And so my scanner anomaly, and I'm having fun creating or coming up. We are having fun coming up with creative names for these segments. But mine is called "She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy," because after watching, and I came up with this while doing my homework on the Starfarer, because let's see, where was it? Oh yeah, so and I'll get to it, but because the Starfarer is going to be getting a tractor beam for its for the ability to take on um, things to refine, minables, whatever they may be. We don't know. Um, but it was mentioned in a monthly report, and that's one of the things I'll be going over. And so, in doing my homework, I was like, "Wait a minute, the Starfarer is getting a tractor beam. What's going on with ship-based tractor beams?" And as most Star Citizen fans will know, we have our tractor beam attachment to the Pyro multi tool, and it's handy for moving around those little boxes, but it has a weight limit. A weight limit. I think it's 50 kilograms. Does that sound right? I think it's
I
um,
haven't looked at
50.
the UI enough. It moved boxes. I'm happy.
I think the lore narrative explanation is that the little attachment can lift things up to 50 kilograms. There's also it's actually in development right now. Um, it's on the progress tracker. There's the handheld industrials
Which we just saw in the
tractor
latest
tool.
ISC on the back of the
Hmm.
or no, one or two ago. The bigger handheld tractor beam by Gray Cat. It looks
Yes,
great and it transforms when you start to use it. I can't wait. It's gonna be so cool.
the animations. You can imagine what they're going to look like, and they're going to be
I
really
I
cool.
want when you start it Octave, just a nice shift back to like, "Oop, okay, I got it.
Maybe some recoil or something like
Hmm.
that. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, wear crossbow. Actually, if you want to know about the crossbow, go back and watch a couple of
episode
the
1.
episode one. We did a part on the crossbow, so that is over on my YouTube channel. If you go down below the stream, you can find the link to the YouTube channel.
Um, but yeah, so we have the attachment for the Pyro multi tool already in game, and we know how that works. We have seen the images of the dedicated handheld tractor beam. Just like there's a dedicated salvage tool, there's a dedicated cutting tool. We have the dedicated medical device. So for every attachment you have for your Pyro multi tool, there's also a dedicated tool made by one manufacturer or another. Most of them are made by Gray Cat. These industrial tools, the cutter, the salvaging tool, which is also ostensibly a repair tool, and the tractor beam are all made by Gray Cat, along with the Pyro multi tool. But there's also ships that are come equipped stock with tractor beams, as well as ships that have utility mounts. just like weapons mounts, but they're not for mounting weapons; they're for mounting utility devices, whatever that may be. Um, Examples are the 315P, the Caterpillar, the constellation Taurus, which actually has a tractor beam turret. The entire Cutlass line is originally supposed to have a tractor beam for loading cargo through that back hatch door. I don't know if all of them are going to have it or if it's just going to be the Cutlass Black. I would assume they would, especially like the for search and rescue or for picking up, prisoner pods and stuff like that for the blue and the red.
Does the red have side doors?
It has that's the thing is the red and the blue. I think both have the. I know the red. I think the blue. It's been a long time since I've been in the blue. They have the circular.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Like if I was gonna have a tractor beam on the Cutlass Red, it'd be out the back door.
yeah. No,
But
I would
this
think it
this
would
is
be
two
out the back
different
door.
designs, so it's when we got the information on the tractor beams that it was a different design for the Cutlass Red, so it
Mhm.
might have switched around a bit.
The Gladiator was initially concepted to have some modularity in that you could remove the turret and have a little cargo pod with a tractor beam. Whether that ends up happening, I'm kind of
That's a weird
dubious
ship to
about it,
have one.
but it's in there. The Nomad is supposed to have a utility mount for tractoring cargo into the cargo bay. Assumedly, it would be operated from some sort of panel. The
Probably right behind
Orion,
the window.
yeah, the Orion, the giant, massive capital class miner, has
Uh,
multiple tractor beam turrets for moving rocks around. The Raft has a tractor beam for positioning cargo containers. Um, uh, Ostensibly while you're in space. Who knows what the lifting capacity of these things is going to be? But for moving them into place for locking onto the raft's cargo arms, the Raylin also is said to have utility mounts with tractor beams. The Reclaimer, um, I believe that those has utility mounts. I couldn't find whether they're mounts or not, but I am told it's been a long time since I've been on the Reclaimer. But the Reclaimer has like operator stations where you would operate the tractor beams remotely, like a remote turret.
yeah,
The SRV uses tractor beams in order to hold onto ships to do the tow truck thing, but it can also use it for containers, and it has three of them, these like big tractor plate things. And that's where, if you look at the SRV concept art from when it was released, is when we got the. I think that's when we got the first look at the updated appearance of what tractor beams will actually look like.
yeah.
Um, the Starfarer now has one, even though it was never concepted to have it. Um, P9TV is asking if the Reliant has one. I don't. It did not pop in my list when I was doing a search. It may. I don't know much about the Reliant. I'll have to look. Nazareth, can you check to see if
I can indeed.
if the Reliant?
Yep.
It may. I don't know which one it would be. Othmion, thanks for dropping by. We really appreciate you stopping by and taking a listen. I hope it was informative, and I hope we can get your post the the coverage it needs to get the answers we all deserve. P9TV says it has utility mounts in response to the Reliant. Do you know which one? Because there's four, right? I can never remember the names. Tana, Sen, and I forget what the others.
Core and
Utility mount caps. Interesting. So ostensibly, if it has utility mount caps,
yeah.
or has a utility mount, it could mount a tractor beam. Depending on where the utility mount is on the ship, will denote whether a tractor beam is going to be useful, um, or how useful it is. And then also the Vulture has, per the information about the Vulture, the Vulture has a sort of bespoke tractoring system for pulling material into in between its claws in order for it to be salvaged. Um, so in the show notes, I've got an image that was pulled from the old archives of of the Voyager Direct store from the old Star
Oh,
Citizen
I love seeing
website
it.
that shows the old model for what's called the Sure Grip tractor. Um, it's a size 2 tractor beam, and this is the one that was supposed to come stock on the 315P. Um, and then in the show notes, actually, um, oh, Nazareth is walking away. Anyway, I'll continue. When Nazareth gets back, I think I'm going to have him pull up these pictures so we can show them on screen, but you can look at them on your own time as well. The next image I have is from Alpha 314, showing it's uh, a sort of release art because that's when the Taurus was getting ready to release of the Taurus using its tractor beam turret to tractor cargo onto its cargo bay. Um, Nazareth, are you able to do that transition thing so you can pull up these images so we can
I
show them
can
on screen?
certainly attempt. Let's see if everything works properly. Go. There we go. We have images. For those of you who are watching live, yes. So continue, and I'll go. I'll scroll through the bits.
Sweet. Can you pull up the yeah? Can you pull up the Sure Grip tractor? The
Sure grip.
previous image.
Okay. There you go. Maybe.
It's on the OneNote.
Yeah,
You have the
it's
OneNote
loading.
open? Oh, okay.
There
But you can see how that looks on screen.
you go.
Yeah,
Old is
old
what it
school.
looks like.
It looks like a big camera or something or a projector. But you can see the sort of like pintle mounts on it that allow it to like articulate and everything. But then if you go to the image you had up first, the constellation Taurus, if you look closely, you can see that it has many years later the same sure grip tractor um, model for the tractor beam, even though this is after the SRV concept was released, showing a different type of tractor beam. And then if you go to that screenshot I got from Alpha 314 showing the Taurus, it's a better in-game screenshot. And maybe you can zoom in on the tractor beam turret. Is that possible? You can see quite clearly that is definitely the old Sure Grip tractor beam model. And so, we're looking at the progress of tractor beams in order to try and gather, okay, where are they now? What's the holdup? Where are what's the status of ship-based tractor beams? And that's when moving on from that, the next mention I found on tractor beams was the Star Citizen Monthly Report, August 2022, under Art Ships, Ship Art Team. Refueling work was also done on the Misk Starfarer. The refueling arm mentioned last month is now complete. We now are going to be having that in game soon. It's in the PTU. With focus turning to the tractor beam assembly at the rear that forms part of the refining feature. So we now know that the Starfarer is going to have a tractor beam mounted somewhere on the rear. We don't know where exactly. That's going to be used to bring, um, assumedly, um, the mining bags um, into place so that they can take on the material and refine it. Whether that's all things mined or just quantinium, we don't know. The next thing I found on uh, tractor beams was the monthly report for October 2021. This time it's the art team for weapons instead of ships. The weapon feature team, and I'll have another image for you to pull up here in a
Yep.
second, but you can transition. The weapon feature team began the month working on the Firestorm Kinetic Size 3 bombs for the Crusader Hercules and artwork for the upcoming ship tractor beam asset. And so to me, when I was reading this, I was like, well, wait a minute. The Taurus is in game. You can see the tractor beam asset on the Taurus in game. It doesn't work, but you can see it. So artwork for the upcoming. If it's just artwork, to me that tells me that it's you know something new. And so I was kind of confused when I was going through this. And the next thing I found was the sneak peek image from the newsletter that we get in our email on Fridays. Um, from, let's see, it was October 29th, 2021. So I think this is the newsletter the week after. It was a week or two after CitizenCon, or shortly after the CitizenCon, and it shows. I forget what the caption was. I forgot to write down what it was. But it says beam 2 when you save the image. So to me that means it's a size 2 tractor beam, because it's in front of a 315p, which is supposed to come stock with a size 2 tractor beam. But we already showed you what the original Sure Grip tractor beam looked like that was supposed to come on the 315p. That ain't it. So this is an entirely new tractor beam asset. They've completely reworked tractor beams, or the tractor beam asset, since the Taurus released. Was it just last year, or was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just last year. Um, and so, assumedly, the Taurus is going to be getting these tractor beams mounted and then removing the old model when these go live.
I mean, this one looks better.
I think it looks great. It matches, and that's why I thought it was interesting that um, they released the Taurus with the old tractor beam asset, but they had the concept art for the SRV tractor beam that looks like this, but much bigger, for these giant tractor beam plates.
I would not be
Um,
shocked if the process of making this asset was you see the concept of the tractor beam on the SRV, cut that off, build into a standalone weapon. Done.
yeah, a standalone asset,
Yeah.
for to put on utility mounts,
Hmm.
because the ones on the SRV are very bespoke, and big and powerful, compared to these. They're meant for moving ships.
Yeah.
The final source I found on the state of tractor beams was in the again, Inside Sources in A Space Odyssey, Fall 2021, December 2nd. Um, let's see, Jared Huckabee at 5:51. Um, this was looking at the uh, continuing work on the whole sea, which is really interesting because if you've known about the whole sea, I don't, as far as I'm aware, none of the holes have ever had mention of having tractor beams.
Well, there was the whole CDE post Q&A, and I say CDE because those were the ones who got all the questions asked about them. And the lore post about them had an entire movie set built on a D, I
Hmm.
think. And basically the entire original concept for the whole series, especially the bigger ones, was excessive and I mean excessive modularity. You could put a
Yeah,
turret on it, like a standalone turret, just somewhere in the cargo grid. You could build an entire apartment. You could, ship ships. You could ship tanks, boxes, whatever it is. So putting weird things on the grid itself um, would not shock me. But there was also, let me see if I can find it real quick, an image where I'm pretty sure it had um, tractor beams on it. Uh, there you go. It's an original. One of the original concept had something that looked like tractor beams. But what about tractor beams then?
oh, I thought you were pulling something up.
I am, but I'll need a second.
Oh, okay. But in the video, and it actually shows it, so I encourage you to go back and look at these, because this is the first time they've shown this, as far as I'm aware, for how tractor beams will be operated outside of tractor beam turrets. So I thought it was really cool, and they're showing it on the whole sea. When the hulls were never, 100% said that they had utility mounts for tractor beams. They're just supposed to be very modular, but that was when everything was going to be modular because
Modular.
because modularity. So it's one of those things. That's one of the big things where it's I'll believe that when I see it. Um, but seeing the the whole sea getting it when you know as far as I knew we had never been told that the whole sea was going to get tractor beams, and now um, let's see, what did he say? Uh, Jared says, and experimenting with some early attempts at new building block screens for tractor beams and the like. So these would be building block screens, or remote screen, or remote screens for remote interfacing or remotely working with like remote turrets, but for tractor beams. But he says, and the like. So my next point was like, and the like. Wait, what? You know, what are the things are they intending to use these for? Because we don't have much information about utility mounts other than using them for tractor beams. So that got my little inner monologue spinning. Ooh, what else are they thinking about for this? But it was cool to think that they're planning on having the whole sea having tractor beams or beams for the loading and unloading of cargo. Um, when the whole sea releases following the release of the cargo factor. And so we can assume that part of what is blocking the release of the whole sea is further work on the whole sea being able to unload and load its cargo using tractor beams, using various Argo ships, that sort of thing. Um, so I found that little tidbit as a really great piece of confirmatory information, but also, ooh, that's kind of curious. But then he also goes on later on in the episode and he says, and speaking of, or right after that, and speaking of tractor beams, the vehicle content team has begun building the size 1, 2, and 3 tractor beams that can be equipped to a variety of vehicles, bringing with it some long waiting functionality to ships like the 300s seen here, the Caterpillar, and more.
Aye.
um, yeah. And so a size 3 tractor beam, it's got to be pretty big. It's got to be able to move some pretty good size things. When you think about, okay, our little handheld tractor beam can move a 50 kilogram crate. You know, imagine how big a size 3 on a ship. How much
Hopefully, I would imagine a size 3 goes up to the 2 by 2 by 16 like cargo containers.
that would be my thought, is that if anything is going to get size 3 tractor beams, it might be like the whole sea.
Or the SRV.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking the whatever the SRV gets might be even bigger. I don't know, or might be that might be bespoke and just stronger or something like that.
You think it'll
But
be kind of like the ship that breaks the standard, the scale that we have. Like we've had size 1, 2, 3 weapons, and like they reworked the one of the. Are they? Then we got size 4 with the Constellation. Then we got like size 6 with the 600, and now we have size 7 with the Ares. They bring in new sizes with new ships.
hmm
That makes sense. That makes
yeah,
sense. And
and
about
so
modularity, P9 was asking, that is in the last episode of Pathfinders.
oh yeah, yeah, all sorts of things that we have covered so far. And so I did ask to confirm with Jake, because I saw the work on tractor beams. We've seen the concept art. We've seen mentions in monthly reports. I asked him, I was like, "Hey, have ship-based tractor beams ever been on the progress tracker?" I couldn't remember if I'd seen it and then it was removed or something like that. Because I couldn't find anything when I was searching. And he said, "No, it's never been on the progress tracker. Handheld tractor beams, other than the dedicated one." Um, that predates the progress tracker. But he says they are not on the progress tracker and haven't been, because they aren't ready for full production. And so I'm kind of surprised there wasn't a sprint for them, for the concept art, considering it was in the monthly report. But no big deal. But I think that because um, they are still working on the whole sea, um, and because the Starfarer, has had work on it as part of, its refinery processes. I definitely anticipate ship-based tractor beams coming on the progress tracker and being a thing in the not too distant future. So that way, these ships that have them, get the functionality out of them. Because with the cargo refactor and us, assuming that we're going to be getting different size cargo crates and larger cargo crates, if without a tractor beam, how are you going to move them in space onto your ship? And if all we have is the little one that does 50 kilos, what are you going to do with if that one SCU container, which is 8 of the little boxes that we move right now, it, weighs more than 50 kilos. You're not going to be able to move it with a handheld tractor. And so, you know, I'm assuming that, with the cargo refactor, we will get the dedicated industrial tractor, um, the handheld one, in 318. But, when are ships going to get theirs? When are the ships that need this functionality going to get that, so that, you're not, using a handheld, you know, dedicated tool for this, for ships that have it. Especially as we get larger containers, like maybe the first iteration of the cargo refactor will only have containers up to a certain size, and until we get ship-based tractor beams, we're not going to get those larger containers. I don't know.
Yeah, that is one of the things. Like, the more I hear about the work going on, the less exciting the cargo refactor gets, because there's so many other things being blocked right now. So that is definitely one that is very up in the air. And what is the cargo refactor? We're gonna have to do something about that closer to the release of it. So sometime in the next 3 months. So yeah, is that all you had for your anomaly?
That is what I have for my
Awesome.
anomaly. That is the state of ship-based tractor beams. I am very excited for them. I'm
Absolutely.
excited for the dedicated tractor tool, the bigger handheld one,
Yeah.
but I'm really excited for ship-based tractor beams in conjunction with the cargo refactor. I think it's going to be
Yeah. When I
at a
first saw the sneak peek with the tractor, I'm like, is that our first beam weapon? I want beam
mhm,
weapons so bad.
yeah.
Like,
Okay, and I think refining is in the horizon as well. And in order for ships to do refining, we're going to need the cargo refactor and we're going to need tractor beams.
yeah, the cargo refactor is the start of a whole bunch of just stuff that ships need to do. It's basically the resource management of ships. So it's not the resource management, which is a different thing. That's internal resources, but it is as far as universe resources. Anyway,
Oh, did you pull up that image of the sneak peek? Did we show that one?
I
I
did
forget.
not find it.
Oh,
The sneak peek thing. Yes, I did. Yes, yeah,
okay. We did share that one. I
yeah,
couldn't remember if
yeah,
we put that one on
yep.
screen.
Yeah, we did.
Cool.
I got all the images in there.